Today is August 7th, 2013, and my name is Daisy de Luna. I am doing a short interview with Veronica Lamas, who is an intern with Boulder County Latino History Project in summer 2013. The interview is being recorded for the Boulder County Latino History Project and the Maria Rogers Oral History Program. The interview is filmed by Daisy de Luna. Please tell me when and where you were born.
I was born January 9, 1991 in Oregon.
When did your family or your earlier relatives come to Colorado?
My parents came here in 1984 and they they actually moved around a lot. So my big brother was born in 1984 and he was born in Nevada. So they moved a lot. First they were in Nevada and then they went to Oregon and then to Texas after that where my little brother was born. So they moved a lot depending on where agriculture was big at the time. So wherever they would have more opportunities, they would move around a lot. So that's.
Do you remember anything from the places you moved around with your parents?
No, actually, I was in Oregon the last time I was there, it was about 10 years ago, and I really don't remember.
Where had they been living before that? Oh, I see. Coming before to the United States.
Well, my mom is from a little town in Mexico, in Jalisco. It's Huejuquilla, El Alto, Jalisco. And my dad is from Guadalajara. And so when we were younger, we actually lived in both places, but mainly in Guadalajara because it was a bigger city and because there were more jobs there. So, yeah.
How did your parents meet?
My parents? I don't know. I never asked them that. But actually, they knew each other, but back in the day, it was more up to my dad. So if my dad or the male wanted to marry somebody, he could just tell the woman's dad, like, I want to marry her, can I marry her? Even if they haven't been dating or anything. Like, I want to be with your daughter. And they'll tell them, okay, you can marry her. And my mom was like, who is this guy? So, I mean, that's basically how they didn't really meet like that, but yeah.
When did they come to the United States again?
In 1984.
Why did they come here?
Just for job opportunities, because in Mexico, there's not really a lot of jobs. And even though my dad did have a good job, he actually worked in a factory, but the factory burnt down. So he had to find another job. And so he decided to move to the United States. And also because he wanted us to be citizens. And that's because he knew that there were better opportunities here. And if we were citizens, we wouldn't struggle as much. So that's why he came here.
You mentioned before that your parents work in the fields. Was there something specific that they follow, or was it just the overall where there was work?
Just basically where there was work. I think I haven't really asked them that, but well, we had family there, so I think like in Oregon and in Idaho. My mom's side of the family is in Idaho, and my dad's is in Oregon. And so since Boise is like the border between, like close to the border from Oregon, they would go back and forth from Idaho to Oregon, like one day to another, because it wasn't that far.
Has your other family been before your parents came here to the United States? Or did they come after your parents came to the United States?
They came after. I think my grandpa has been here before, but he never told me anything. My grandma gets mad at him because he had the opportunity to, like, it was easier back then for people to get like residency and citizenship, and that way my mom and my uncles and stuff would have been citizens, but my grandpa didn't do it, and so my grandma always.
Has your family stayed together in this country, or are some people living in other countries?
Well, I still have a lot of family in Mexico, but mainly just my grandparents and more distant family. I think where my mom is from, because it's such a small town and it's really, there's nothing out there, no jobs. Everyone came here. So there really isn't that many. But my dad is actually in Mexico because he was deported about 13 years ago. And yeah, this happened, yeah, I think I was like 7 years, I don't remember how old I was, but he was deported and still hasn't been able to come back. And it's been really hard for my family, especially for my mom and stuff, because of financial reasons. Because ever since my dad left, she's been having to do everything on her own. And with that, she had to get like extra jobs and stuff, and like sometimes cleaning houses, wherever she can get, just to be able to pay bills and stuff. And it's also been hard for just us growing up, because it's been hard not having that father advice that most people get. It's always been just my mom. And it's just hard to have that. It's been hard because we haven't had that support from him. And when we talk to him, it's like very distant. I think he's not really that involved, even if he wanted to be, because he's not here. So it's just been really hard. But I remember when this all happened and we were young, we were in Denver, but they sent my mom and my dad to jail in Oregon, and my big sister and my big brother to foster care in Oregon. So we were all here for about 3 years with my grandma, and that was one of the hardest times I think I've ever had to go through, because for 3 years we didn't know where my parents were. And my aunts and stuff, they knew, but because we were so young, they didn't want to tell us where they were. And so we'd always be like, yeah, where's my mom? And be like, she's coming. And I'm like, but where is she? And then they wouldn't tell me. And so it was just really hard. And then for us, everything that we got, the food we got, the clothes we got, school supplies and everything like that was all donations from churches and different places. And I think that was one of the hardest things, because I remember going to school and then people like having new clothes and stuff, and then my little brother and I would be like with like donated clothes and stuff. And I mean, we had to just deal with it. We'd be like, people would like make fun of us, like, oh, look at your clothes and stuff. And I kind of just had no choice but to just be like, you don't understand. So I'd go to my teachers and then I'd be like, they're bullying me and stuff. And I mean, I had no other choice, And then like I would cry a lot. I'd be like, you don't understand like what it's like to have your parents taken away. And then like I think what hurts the most is the fact that my dad is still not here and we're still struggling and it's still hard. And I remember my big brother and sister, they told me that this was actually like in the news that they were shackled on their way to foster care to Oregon, and they were only like 11 and like 10 years old. So I mean, the fact that you're shackled from your like handcuffs and on your feet and walking to the airport, and you're seeing everybody just looking at you while you're hopping up and down, I think that's just very humiliating. And I mean, even though the government did take care of it, it's still very painful for them. And but yeah, so
So you were separated from your siblings 3 years, and then what happened after the 3 years passed? Did they come back? How did they come back?
So my mom and brother and sister came back, and my dad was deported, and so I mean that's all that happened. But yeah, that's basically it. Was just a very weird transition for my brother and sister because they were gonna start school, and that's when, because of everything they went through, they ended up like not being interested in school anymore. My big brother, as he got older, he started like going to jail a lot, ditching school. My brother and sister were just very like bad because of everything they went through. And I don't blame them for that because I mean, I think that would happen to anybody, especially being in foster care where the people you're with don't even care about you. They're just taking care of you because they have to.
After your mom came back, did you live with your mom and your siblings?
Yes.
Or did it take a while?
No, I live with them.
Where did you go to school when you were younger, and where are you studying now?
So I went to school to Barney Ford Elementary, and I mean, not much happened there, just school. And then I went to middle school in Rachel B. Knoll, and I guess that was really hard for me because middle school is the time where you're kind of discovering who you want to be, and at the time, well, the place that I live in, it's Mount Bello, the little community, and it's just really bad, and everyone just wants to be really like hardcore, and at that age you just don't want to go to school and you think you're all bad, and that's where I was at. I was like, I want to be this bad person and I don't want to go to school. But then I went to high school, and that's when I was like, wait, I really do want to go to college. And I remember one time I was when I actually got to see my dad in jail before he got deported. I actually told him, I was really young, and I told him, I said, Dad, when I grow up, I'm gonna become a lawyer so that I could get you out of here. And as little as I was, that's the thing that kept me going, was that idea, that what I told my dad when I said that I was going to become a lawyer. And when I got to high school, I did tell myself, I am going to be a lawyer. So that's when I got really good grades and stuff like that. And Mount Bello High School was actually not a good school at the time. We actually had students who didn't care, and the teachers didn't care. And I remember when I said I wanted to go to college, they would say, oh, you should go to like community college, you should go here, you'll be successful there. And I'm like, no, but I want to go to CU Boulder, I want to go to big school. They're like, well, we don't recommend it. So I did end up going, even though I didn't have the support. And then so I did go to CU Boulder, and I graduated from there. And I actually graduated with honors at CU Boulder.
What made what were some of the struggles from transition from high school to college, and then what is your major?
So I think the transition was definitely really hard because I think that coming from a school, and it's actually from Denver Public Schools, I I don't think I was very prepared for college. I think like the level that I was in just wasn't good enough. I would struggle a lot. I would definitely go to help hours a lot because I didn't know how to write like everybody else. And I mean, even I did catch up, but it took me a long time. And I'm an ethnic studies major. Yeah.
Was is there any support uh, during your years in CU Boulder?
Yeah, so there was, well, I started off as a political science major, but I didn't like it because the teachers were all white and they didn't understand me, and I didn't like the classes. I think a lot of the classes were like 400 students in a big lecture hall, and I didn't like it, and just the classes there. And so I changed to ethnic studies. And for the first time in my life, I was able to learn about my history. And I thought that was so cool. And so with ethnic studies, the professors were so supportive. I still to this day they email me, and one of my professors, his name's Professor Dr. Aldama, and he actually helped me write my honors thesis. And he's the one that tells me like, you're gonna go to law school and we're gonna write you your letters and you are gonna go to law school. And they've been so supportive, especially because at CU Boulder it's so hard to be there in such a white campus, and they understand that and they support you 100%.
Was there any other support besides your professor from the ethnic studies department?
There was, I think my academic advisors were, and I was in this program called McNeil, and it's mostly for low-income students and underrepresented students, mostly minority students. And so we'd go to those, there was a building that was specifically for us. So it was like the brown kids on the end of campus. And I think that's where a lot of the support came from. Because when I first came to Boulder, I swear I would call my mom every day and tell her, I don't want to be here. I hate it. Please get me out of here. But then it wasn't until years later that I'm like, I belong here and I'm going to stay here. And the teachers were supportive.
What made you decide to change your mind for not moving from CU Boulder?
It was mostly because I wanted to graduate from CU Boulder, and it was a good school. So I think that the system is made that way to kick us out, and I wasn't gonna do that, and I wasn't gonna let them win. So yeah, I just ended up staying, and I think what really helped was all the groups that I was involved in, especially my sorority. I think they were really supportive, and every Latino student that I've talked to in CU Boulder, and not only Latinos, like different ethnicities, tell me the same thing. They're like, we don't like it here, but we're gonna stick together and we're gonna graduate from here. So I think that was really a good support system, and that's the reason I stayed and why I graduated.
Could you tell me some of the groups you joined during your CU Boulder career?
Yeah, so I was mostly only involved with my sorority and other, like for the first year at CU Boulder, I was with Umasimecha, and then I was really involved with McNeil, and then I was also a resident advisor. So that's where, ones that live at the dorms with the students and stuff. So it was fun, and just, we did a lot of community service and stuff like that.
I'm going to change a little bit of the topic. You mentioned you graduated with honors and you wrote your thesis paper, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us a little bit about your paper?
Yeah, so I wrote an honors thesis. It was called Xenophobia and Discrimination on Undocumented Students in Higher Education. And basically, right now, we're in a time where immigration is like a big deal in politics. It's like everywhere. And right now, with the immigration reform and all that going on, I really wanted to learn more. And I wanted to know the pros and cons and the arguments that were being made. So I basically talked about how undocumented students struggle because of all these laws that are put in place that make them not be able to go to college. And I talked about that, the DREAM Act, and at the time when I was writing it, Colorado Asset hadn't passed, so I was trying to kind of talk about why it hadn't passed and why people were so against it. And when I was about to be done with the thesis, it passed, and I think it was awesome because now undocumented students in Colorado can actually pay in-state tuition, and I think that's awesome. And that's basically what I wrote, but I learned a lot, and I think it was a really good experience.
Was it a hard paper to write?
Yes, it took me about a year, and at the end of it, it was 120 pages. And to me, that was a huge accomplishment because, like I said, when I went to Montbello High School, I barely knew how to write a 5-page paper. And I came this, my first year, I struggled so much, and finally, 4 years later, to be able to write 120 pages, I think I blew myself away. And I thought it was awesome. And the fact that not only was I the first to graduate from college, but with honors, I think that was a big deal. And I think even though my dad doesn't really know what I did or why I did it, I think he would be really proud of me.
What things have gone well for you now that you've gone to college? What's a good thing to recommend for future students?
I think, well, just not giving up. I think I'm really glad that I stuck it through and actually graduated from CU Boulder, because I think I have a lot of opportunities now, more than I would have if I would have not gone to college at all. I think that I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities that I've had, and that I'll continue to have. And I feel that I've learned a lot. The fact that things are hard, but you can do it and you can graduate. And even though people tell you you're not good enough or you won't be able to do it, you can do it. You just have to work so hard, but it's possible.
As you look into the future, what would you like to be doing 10 years from now?
Well, I would like to be an immigration lawyer, and I would like to study go to law school in a different place. But I know that my heart is in Colorado, and I'll always return to Colorado. So I'll be working in Colorado, working with immigrant families. And I'm hoping that with the immigration reform, it'll be a lot easier for people to apply for citizenship, and families won't get separated anymore or as much, because I know how that's like, and it's hurtful. And I think 10 years from now, I really hope that things will change and people won't have to struggle as much. But that's what I want to be doing, and I want to be working with different organizations, doing things like that, and definitely making change and seeing the world a better place. I think more and more just the United States, like, because the way things are now are not okay. And I've talked to different people who've had similar situations, and I just think, like President Obama, the whole immigration reform, he said, the time is now. And it really is now, because things have been going on and affecting a lot of immigrant families for a very long time. And it needs to happen now.
Do you think being a Latino will affect your ability to pursue your future dreams?
I used to think that. I used to think that because I was Mexican or Latina, that I wasn't gonna go places and people were gonna discriminate me, and I wasn't gonna find jobs as well as other people, as my white peers. But now that I've gone to college and realized that actually being Latino is a lot actually good, because you're bilingual, and that just opens so many doors. And yeah, I think it'll actually benefit me a lot in the long run. And when I do go to law school and do become a lawyer, I think people will be able to relate to me in ways that they won't be able to relate to other people.
Are there any other topics or issues you would like to bring up now that we're close to ending the interview?
No, I think we covered everything.
Well, thank you, Veronica, for sharing your story with us. It was very touching.
Thank you.